This is going to be some raw, unfiltered advice to my 20-year-old self. And again, for anybody who's in their 20s, 30s, or just looking to get to that next level a little bit faster, I think this will be super valuable for you. And I want to start off with one of the best quotes out there that I think is going to be relatable to this sort of video and sort of walkthrough is the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time to do that is today. So if you watch this video, hopefully it can spark something, some inspiration, or hopefully just some sort of idea on what action to take now to help you better get to where you want to be. And I'm not speaking to you directly, I'm speaking to my younger self. This is the advice that I wish I would have taken a little bit earlier. And looking back, I'm in my mid 30s, looking back into my early 20s, I still found it to be something that I wanted to get results quicker. And I think that's one of the biggest issues with any ambitious person is they want to get results faster. And looking back, I see a few things, and not to say that I regret them, but I think if I could go back, I would have spent time doing these things a little bit differently. I would have started changing my approaches a little bit more sooner than what I did. And overall, it just took me a little bit longer to kind of figure things out. And I think a lot of times with mentorship, with people who are a few steps ahead of you, just hearing those things multiple ways or hearing stories about how this sort of leverage sort of worked with looking back and trying to figure out what happened is going to be super valuable. And so one of the first things looking back is I wish I would have given up some of my vices sooner. And looking back, I see a few really huge chunks and milestones where things in my life just started to get a little bit better in my version of success, right? So this is still going to help you no matter what version of success you have. So a few things that I stopped giving up or I stopped doing was drinking. And one of the biggest things that helped me realize this is your weekends are 28% of your time. So if you live to 100, that's 28 years. So you should be using this time, that 28% or those 28 years, to do something that's either going to make you healthier, wealthier, or build your stronger relationships in life. So I would suggest if my 20-year-old self is listening to this, focus your weekends on that. It doesn't have to be every single weekend dedicated and grinding. That's not what I mean here. What I mean is focus on something where on Monday, after the weekend's over, you're checking one of those boxes. You feel healthier, you feel wealthier, or you've built a stronger relationship with yourself or somebody, friends, partners, family. It doesn't matter. And so let me give you a few examples of what I changed personally and how it helped me, kind of focus on those things. So I was a typical college guy, would go out partying quite a lot on the weekends, looking forward to Thursday night to even, Friday, Saturday, and occasional Sunday fun days. By Monday, I was absolutely destroyed. My immune system was broken down. My sleep was terrible. I basically had way less money in my bank account than when I started, and I didn't feel like I was ever getting anywhere. Monday morning, I would get back, hit the gym, keep going, have a really productive week with school, work, whatever. So those 4 or 5 days would essentially build up to this point, and then on the weekends, I felt like I was just going back down here and then up. And it just felt like I was stuck. And it took me a while. Like it took me a while to realize this. And I think a lot of people tried this with like a, no drink January or something. And they understand that, but then they just get back into those old habits. So here's exactly what I did is I essentially stopped. I had a few like minor stomach issues that really resulted in me to just stop drinking completely. And so I gave it up for 6 months. And I would say the benefits started to really show up in about month 3. Because on my weekends, I was focusing on other things. I was traveling, meeting people in non drinking activities. So we were doing like scooter trips, hiking, other things that were also helping with your health. You're getting sun, you're walking, you're doing something active. And honestly, like being in a nightclub isn't a really great way to like go deeper with a friend or loved one or anything. So you're in a situation where you actually uncover those surface level layers with a lot of your friends or people in your life. So that was a huge turning point for me. Was I committed to 6 months. I kind of reassessed and I was like, man, should I go back to drinking? And essentially I came to the conclusion that no, I don't want to get back into that same sort of routine of building up and then dropping back down and then doing this vicious cycle. So a few other things happened during this time, and looking back, reflecting, really helped change my life for the better. So once I stopped giving up drinking and partying and going out, I started shifting my focuses. So during this first 2 years of not drinking, it sparked me to spend that extra time to work on my book. And so at this time, I was working, 50, 60 hours for a startup. And on top of that, writing my book because I had so much extra time. I had 28% more time. And even on top of that, I was still being social. I was doing events. I was going on dates. I was still having, in my opinion, what a perfect life looked like for me at that time. And so if I could go back to my 20-year-old self, I would say, hey, look at these things. Do an audit of your life to your day-to-day practices. What is working well and what isn't? What times are you enjoying and how is this actually getting you to help your goals? Just put everything in a spreadsheet or a list. Say, is this helping me get to my goals? And again, it's much easier when you had clearly defined goals, which also helped kind of spark this journey to self improvement. So I think if I could go back, I wish I would have just done this a little bit earlier. I think a lot of my years I spent just going up to pivoting back down and staying stuck. So some other things that resulted from that outside of writing and publishing a book was I started meeting people, and I was a single guy traveling around the world. So instead of meeting girls out at a club or going out for drinks, I would go for a coffee shop where you can actually really quickly get to understand, are you attracted to them? Do you like their personality? Is there that depth that you're looking for in a partner or in a relationship? And the types of girls who are more prone to doing that are also going to be what I wanted in a relationship and in a quality person. Not to say you can't meet a great person at a bar. I'm just saying this is what worked well for me. And I think a lot of people would have better results if they tried this. So I ended up meeting my last, my long term and current relationship. We met at a coffee shop. We hit things off and we really sparked things. And now we're living together here in Thailand, which is amazing. And so, getting those steps, a book published, a long term partner who I see myself spending the rest of my life with, all came from changing my priorities, taking that step back and reassessing my life and what I wanted to achieve. And I couldn't achieve what I wanted with the structure that I had personally, health wise, fitness wise, wealth wise, relationship wise. So, other than that, I think it's also helped with your health. You're getting empty carbs, empty calories, and this just isn't going to be like an anti-drinking thing. That was my vice. That was my problem. A lot of people have sacrifices and have other vices. Maybe you're spending too much time playing video games, doing smoking weed, whatever it is. There's going to be a vice, and we all have it. And sometimes it's okay. You just got to do it in moderation. And so, for example, that half step, I did the drastic thing of taking 6 months off. Just try to do every other weekend. Just take time to work on you in those three areas that I suggest. And again, I wish I would have just done this and slowly worked into that, reassess the results. So maybe it's, every other weekend you're just taking time to do those things. If you still want to go out partying, drinking, it doesn't have to be so black and white. You can find success in the middle ground. And I think a lot of the advice out there is so polarizing that it doesn't work for everyone. So looking back, those are a few of the things that I really found valuable and helpful. And on top of that, what else really worked and what I wish I would have done earlier, again, it took me a long time to kind of figure this out. And what's crazy is I started investing when I was 18. I would buy stocks and trade them, more or less a buy and hold for 6 to 12 months. And it actually worked out great. When I was 18, I was able to sell enough stocks to pay for my entire spring break in Vegas. And it was like a baller spring break, going out, clubs, partying, pool parties, all this fun stuff. And what I wish I would have learned is just keep doing that. Take a percentage of all your income, reinvest, buy stocks, put it into the market, and just set it and forget it. It took me about, let's say, 10 years to kind of figure this out. And what I started doing was I just set up automatic investing. And I think this is probably, it's not financial advice, it's what's worked really well for me. I would take a percentage of my income and then allocate it for that quarter. Depending on if how much your income fluctuates, you can reassess it every month or every quarter. And then just commit to taking a certain percentage. I would say start at 10% of your, net profit and commit to putting that into some investment, stocks, crypto, or coaching, or some sort of thing that's going to help you make more money. What I did was I committed to a certain percentage, set up automatic investing. So every week I was buying into the S&P 500 and into crypto. Every week it would automatically buy it. I just had to spend 10 minutes to set this up. And it took me 10 years to kind of figure this out. And so after, let's just say 3 years of doing this, I essentially just compared my stock portfolio to my crypto portfolio. And my stock portfolio had grown by like 35%, which was crazy. Like, it's really good for stocks. But my crypto was like over 3,000 or something, absolutely insane. So what I started doing is just shifting more money into that avenue. And I think over time, you just have to reassess, follow it, keep updating it, and seeing what's going to work for you. And so if I could have gone back earlier, if I would have done this when I was 18, even if it was just stocks or the S&P, I would be so much further ahead. I would have so much more leverage to buy online businesses, to invest in my own companies, to just have, that rainy day fund. I think if I would have done this earlier, it really would have resulted in a much better financial situation earlier than I am, in your 30s or 40s. It's going to be better off because you're just essentially doing that. And so doing it in my, mid 20s is still great, but I really wish I would have done this earlier. The results have been fantastic, and I think it's good advice for anybody who's getting started. Commit to a percentage, set up the automatic investing, and then watch your portfolios grow. It takes the emotion out of it. It also takes, any of that strain, because you're gonna be buying at the top, the bottom, the middle. And what I've seen is I also committed to a period of time where, hey, I'm not going to touch anything. I'm not going to sell anything for 5, 10, 20 years. And I've essentially committed to that just to see like, hey, I'm not going to sell this unless I really need it. Eventually, I might just take my initial profit back or put it into something else, but we'll see. So in general, those are kind of like the things that I wish I would have done a little bit earlier. But other than that, there's so many things that when you're looking back, you wish you could change. And again, it goes back to that quote that I started this. There's going to be a lot of things that you can do today. And when you're planting a tree, the best time is 20 years. The second best time is today. So if you take this advice or learn one thing is assess your life, see what areas you can improve, and then get started today. You will really be grateful that you did. And if you enjoy these videos, if you like this more raw, unfiltered sort of talk, I'm trying to get better at this style, but leave some feedback. I would love to learn from you if you enjoy this. If you do, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'm committed to doing these every day for 30 days. So let's see how it works out. And thank you so much if you made it this far.